I'm Kayla Mantegazza, creator of YoGonnaLoveThis.com, and today's class is a CardiYoga balance challenge. So it will be a high repetition class of classic vinyasa poses to increase our heart rate and improve our balance. You don't need any equipment today other than a mat or a carpeted area. So let's start on our mat in child's pose. Separate the knees about mat's width distance apart. Bring your seat to your heels and walk your hands towards the top of the mat. If you have any pain in the knees, you can stack your knees over your hips for this one and raise the forearms off the mat, tenting the fingertips. This one's called puppy pose. Otherwise, try to work your seat towards your heels, extending your arms forward and resting the forehead on the mat. Breathing here, feeling your rib cage expand on each inhale and contract on each exhale. Maybe rocking your neck side to side, massaging the forehead on the mat. Roll the shoulder blades down the back, create some space between the shoulders and the ears. Maybe walk your fingertips a couple inches further forward without letting the shoulders scrunch up. Deepening your breath. Try to stay present with me while you're on the mat today. Try to let go of any expectations you have of yourself and just take this time for yourself. Take one more breath. And come up onto your hands and knees. So here we have our shoulders stacked over the wrists. We have our hips stacked over the knees. We're pressing the mat away, pulling the belly button in and up. And throughout class today, I want you to think of pressing away from your mat. So as opposed to letting your shoulder blades wing out, we want to think of creating space between our shoulder blades, engaging the serratus muscles. We want to think of straightening the arms, engaging the triceps, and working the insides of our elbow creases towards the top of our mat so that our shoulders are externally rotated. So from here, drop the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, curl the spine, pull the chin to the chest. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, chin to chest, curl forward. This is called cat-cow pose. Keep moving through here, matching your movement with the breath. Moving as quickly or as slowly as feels good in your body. Maybe rock side to side if that feels good for you, or create little circles with your torso. We're just warming up here, so just do whatever feels good for you. Making sure you're pressing the hands into the mat, keeping the arms nice and straight, keeping the hips over the knees. Give me one more. And come back to a neutral spine. Keep the hands planted where they are and extend your right leg behind you. We want to think of straightening the leg, engaging the quad, flexing the heel. And we want our knee and our pinky toe rotated to face towards the mat. So we don't want our leg out to the side. We don't want any fire hydrants, peeing dogs. Keep the hips square. So from here, just start to feel your core working a little more. Try not to arch the back. Keep the core pulled in. And on an inhale, we're going to bend the knee, bring the heel towards the butt, and extend, exhale. So it's inhale, bend the knee, exhale, extend. And try to keep the quad parallel to the earth the whole time, keeping the kneecap rotated towards the mat, keeping your weight evenly distributed in both hands. Maybe press away from the mat a little bit more. Here we're just firing up the hamstring, getting ready to balance on one leg later. Give me 2 more of these. And on your last one, hold with the knee bent and drive your heel towards the ceiling, pulse. So we're pulsing up an inch. Keep the core engaged for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower the knee. Roll out the wrists if you need to. And we'll set up for the other side. Engage the core. Keep the shoulder over the wrist. Extend the left leg behind. So again, we're rotating the pinky toe towards the mat, not letting the hips open out to the side, keeping both of the hips square to the floor. Think of placing a glass of water on your lower back. And inhale, hug the knee in towards the butt, and extend. And bend, and extend. Match your movement with your breath here. Keeping the core engaged. Make sure your elbow creases are still facing the front of the mat. We're not bending the elbows out to the side. Keep it moving. You got 2 more here. And on the last one, bend the knee, drive the heel to the ceiling. So we're pulsing. Feeling your glutes firing at this point. Relax the shoulders. Keep the neck nice and relaxed. Engage the core. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and extend. Good job. Roll out the wrists. From here, come into high plank. So we're really engaging the quads, keeping a straight line from the shoulders all the way to the heels. We don't want the hips to be high. We don't want to drop them low. Don't let them sag. Fire up the core. Press through the hands. So we're going to bend the knees a little bit and shift the hips back. So my hips are not going up towards the ceiling. They're just going back towards my heels. And then we come back to plank so that our shoulders are over our wrists. Again, bending the knees, shifting the weight back, bringing the seat towards the heels, and come back. Start to rock this out, warming up the body, keeping the core engaged, hovering the knees over the mat. I want to hear you breathing. Give me 3 more. And 2. And last one. Hold. Continue to breathe. Let it shake, let it burn, and lower the knees. So from here, you can do level 1 from tabletop, which is shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. We're going to tap opposite shoulders. So my right hand comes to my left shoulder. The left hand comes to right. This is level 1. Level 2, bring your feet wider than the mat. Keep the butt nice and low. And again, shoulder taps. Or if you want to really challenge yourself, you're going to bring your feet together and tap opposite shoulders. But if you're doing that, I want you to be mindful that your hands aren't way out here. We're keeping the hands underneath the shoulders, and we're not rocking the hips, okay? We're keeping the hips super square, engaging the obliques, and just tapping opposite shoulders. So very minimal rocking here. If you haven't started, go ahead and get started. You can come down onto the knees at any time if you need to. 10 more seconds. 5, last one. And lower the knees, good job. Coming into tabletop. Lift your right arm high towards the ceiling and thread the needle. So we're bringing our right shoulder to the mat, keeping the hips over the knees, relaxing the right ear to the mat, and you can straighten the left arm overhead if you'd like. If this stretch isn't deep enough for you, you can also take a half bind. So you take your left arm, grab that right thigh, take one more breath, and come back to tabletop. Other side, left hand goes up towards the ceiling, and thread the needle. So again, on this side, you can extend the right arm overhead, or you can reach around, grab the left thigh. Take one more breath, and come back to tabletop. From here, come up onto the tops of the toes, shift the hips up and back, come into downward facing dog. Knees can be bent. You can also pedal out the feet if you'd like, working your weight into one heel and then the other. Ideally, we want to think of working our heels into the mat, straightening the legs, engaging the quads, rolling the shoulder blades down the back, and take a look here. Make sure your elbow creases are still facing the top of the mat. We want to engage the triceps and externally rotate the shoulders. Think of pressing the hands into the mat to push your hips up and back a little more. And try to really engage the core so that your spine is straight. So we don't want to curl and round the back here. We also don't want to arch the back. If you have any pain in your shoulders here, you can shorten your stance, walking your feet a little closer to the hands. Breathing here. Inhale, lift your right leg high. This is three-legged dog. And on an exhale, bring your right heel to your butt. So we're stacking the right hip over the left, but keeping the weight evenly distributed in both hands here. Feeling a nice stretch in the hip. Maybe roll out the ankle if you'd like. And straighten the leg. On an inhale, bring the right knee to the right tricep, shift into plank. Really pull the knee up to your armpit. And exhale, extend. Inhale, right knee comes to the left armpit across the body. Exhale, extend. Inhale, shift into plank, bring the knee to the nose. Hold it here. Lift the knee a little higher, drop the butt a little lower, press the hands into the mat. And plant the foot between the hands. Drop the back heel to the mat. And bring your arms overhead. Throughout class today, I want you to remember to keep your knee pointed straight forward. So as we get tired, it's easy to internally rotate the thigh or let it fall out to the side. We want to think of keeping it pointed straight forward and keeping the knee over the ankle the whole time, never past the big toe. Arms are overhead. And we also want to think of zippering up the rib cage and tucking the tailbone so that it's pointed straight towards the ground. So we feel a nice stretch in the left hip flexor. From here, bring the hands to heart center. Take your left elbow, hook it to the outside of the right thigh, and twist. So twists come from the rib cage rather than the lower back. We want to protect the lower back. So think of the rib cage, squeezing it like a tube of toothpaste all the way up to the top of your head. Pressing the hands together. Right elbow is facing towards the ceiling. If you want to start off challenging your balance now, come to the top of the left foot and pick the back knee off the mat. Thinking of rotating your heart towards the middle of your hands. And lower the back knee. Raise the arms overhead. And plant the hands on the mat. From here, straighten the right leg. And what's most important to me here is that you keep your chest lifted, your spine straight, and your belly pulled in. So it's okay if your hands are not on the mat here. Otherwise, bring your hands to the mat, flex the foot, and think of plugging your right hip back into its socket so you feel a deep stretch from the hamstring all the way down the back of the calf. Breathing here. So again, we don't want a rounded spine. So if your hands don't touch the mat today, that's okay. Maybe bend and flex the foot. And rebend the front leg. Step back to plank. Shift the hips up, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg high. Exhale, bring the heel to the butt. Again, rolling out the ankle if you'd like. Make sure the weight is evenly distributed in the hands. Squaring off your chest towards the mat. And inhale, extend. Exhale, come into plank, bring the left knee to the left tricep. Inhale, extend. Exhale, left knee to right tricep. Inhale, extend. Exhale, come into plank. Bring the knee up towards the nose. Hold it here. And plant the foot between the hands. Drop the back knee to the mat and bring the arms overhead. Catching your breath here, relaxing the shoulders, bringing your biceps all the way up towards the ears. So we're thinking of hugging the ears together with our arms. Really bring some energy all the way through the fingertips. Maybe on your next exhale, sink a little deeper into the right hip flexor. Bring the hands to heart center. Take your right elbow, hook it to the outside of the left knee, and twist. Continuing to breathe. Again, if you'd like more of a challenge, lift the back knee off the mat. Lower the back knee down, bring the arms overhead, and plant the hands on the mat. Straighten the left leg. Again, flexing the foot, plugging the left hip flexor back. So what I mean by that is I want both of your hip bones to be facing the top of your mat as opposed to out to the side. We want to square them off to the front of the mat. Again, keeping the chest lifted, keeping a nice neutral neck. We're not lifting the chin. Pulling the belly in and up. Take one more breath. Rebend the knee. Step back to plank. Shift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. And then walk your hands towards your feet. Come into a forward fold. So from here, dealer's choice. You can grab onto opposite elbows if you'd like, coming into what's called ragdoll pose. If you want to stretch your wrists a little bit more, you can stand on your palms. Knees can be bent if they need to be. Or if you want more of a shoulder stretch, you're going to interlace your hands behind the back and extend the arms overhead. So this is really your choice, whatever feels good in your body. What I want you to focus on is really keeping your head heavy and evenly distributing the weight in the balls of the feet and the heels so that your hips are stacked directly over your ankles. We're not leaning back here. So think of making the head really heavy. And on each inhale, feeling your spine getting a little longer. And on each exhale, feeling the top of your head getting a little closer to the mat. Maybe shake your head no. And nod your head yes. Maybe you can sway side to side a little bit. Just try not to bounce. And breathe here. Letting any tension that you've been carrying around with you just spill out of your ears and drip onto the mat. Take one more breath. Release the hands wherever they are and roll yourself up one vertebrae at a time to a standing position. Come to the top of the mat. Bring the feet together. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back lengthen. You can bring your hands to your shins here. Exhale, step back to plank. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lower the knees. Come halfway down into chaturanga, keeping the elbows stacked over the wrists, keeping the chest parallel to the mat, rolling the shoulder blades down to back, and lower all the way down onto the mat. Inhale, keeping the elbows pinned to the body, lift the chest, come into cobra pose. And exhale, lower down. Inhale, come through tabletop. And exhale, come to downward facing dog. Inhale, look to the top of the mat. Exhale, step forward into forward fold. Inhale, flat back lengthen. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back lengthen, hands can come to the shins. Exhale, step back to plank. Inhale, keeping the knees off the mat, come into chaturanga, keeping the chest lifted, core is engaged. Inhale, upward facing dog, knees are off the mat here. Really firing up the quads, keeping the tops of the feet pressed into the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward, step to the top of the mat, flat back lengthen, and fold forward. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward, same thing here. Inhale, flat back lengthen. Exhale, step back to plank. Inhale, hold. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward. Step to the top of the mat. Flat back lengthen. And fold forward. One more time. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back lengthen. This time, exhale, step or jump back to your chaturanga push-up. Keep the elbows close to the body. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward, step, walk, or hop to the top of the mat. Flat back lengthen, and fold forward. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back lengthen. Exhale, step or jump back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg high. Exhale, plant the foot between the hands. Inhale, keep the back heel lifted. Bring the arms overhead. So here, pretty similar to what we did in low lunge, except this time we want to keep the back knee nice and straight. We also want to tuck the tailbone, so if your back knee bends a little bit just so that you can feel a stretch in the left hip flexor, that's okay. The right knee is over the right ankle, knee is facing straight forward, arms are overhead. From here, bring your hands to heart center. We're going to drop the back knee to tap the mat. If you have any knee pain, just come down as far as is comfortable. And then engage the core, lift the left knee to the chest. So it's a lower and a lift. So start to rep this out with me. And I want you to think of really driving the standing heel into the mat and driving your hips forward so that you feel this in your right hamstring and glute. Moving at your own pace. Give me 2 more. And the last one, come to high lunge. And we're gonna pulse the back knee to the mat for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift the knee. Now cross the left ankle over the right knee. Sit down into figure 4 pose. So what I want you to think of here is to keep the bend in the knee rather than the hip. So we want to think of sitting back in a chair as opposed to folding forward. Think of keeping the chest nice and high. If that's too much of a challenge for you today, you can come into chair pose with both knees on the mat. Otherwise, give yourself a challenge with your left ankle crossed over your right knee. Again, lifting the chest, pulling the belly in, maybe sit 1 inch lower. Bring the knee to the chest. And drop the knee down, shake it out. Nice job. 1 more side. Come to the top of the mat. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back lengthen. Exhale, step or jump back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg high. Exhale, plant the foot between the hands. Inhale, keep the back heel lifted. Bring the arms overhead. So the front knee is bent, back leg is straight. Hip bones are facing the front of your mat. Arms come overhead. Catch your breath here. Maybe sink a little lower. Make sure your belly button is pulled into your spine. Bring the hands to heart center. Lower the back knee to the mat or as far down as is comfortable. And lift the right knee to the chest. So it's lowering down and lifting. Again, moving as quickly or slowly as is comfortable for you. We always want good form over volume of repetitions. Really straightening the standing leg, driving the heel into the mat. The higher you lift this right knee, the more you're going to engage your core. Give me 3 more. And the last one. Come into high lunge. Lower the knee and give me pulses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift the knee. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. And sit back into figure 4. Again, if you prefer, bring the right knee to the mat. Come into chair pose. Sitting the butt back, bending at the knees, lifting the chest, pressing the palms together. Take one more breath, and stand up tall. Wiggle the legs out. And inhale, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back, lengthen. Exhale, step or jump back, CardiYoga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe here. Inhale, lift your right leg high. Exhale, plant foot between the hands. Inhale, come up to high lunge. So for this one, we are going to drop down a little bit in the back knee, and then engaging the core, launch off the back leg, coming into warrior 3. So my arms are overhead, biceps are by the ears, chest does not go lower than the hips, and we want to square off the hips. So again, thinking of rotating the knee and the big toe towards the ground. You can also bring your hands to your hips if you want a modified version. So we're going to come down, launch off the back leg, come to warrior 3. So it's come down and lift up and lower and lift. And I really want you to think of doing this with control, so we're not just, boom, kicking the leg up towards the ceiling. We're placing it. Give me 2 more. And last one. Stick it here, hold it, and then bring your left thigh into your chest and extend. Bring it into your chest and extend. If you want to here, you can tap the back foot to the mat instead of keeping it at a 90-degree angle. Give me 2 more. And last one. Bring the hands to the mat and extend the left leg towards the ceiling. Coming into standing split here. We're thinking of working the heel all the way towards the ceiling. If it's down here, that's okay too. And give me 10 pulses. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Wiggle out the knees and fold forward. Grab onto opposite elbows if you'd like. And catch your breath here. Release the hands to the mat and roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. Good news, only 1 more side to go. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back, lengthen. Exhale, last chaturanga of the day. Let's do it. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg high. Exhale, plant the foot between the hands. Inhale, come up to high lunge. Catching your breath a little here, but keeping good form. So from here, right knee comes down towards the earth. And then with control, launch off the back leg, come into warrior three. If you can't bring this back leg to 90 degrees, maybe bring it to 45. Lower back down, and lift. And lower, and lift. Moving at your own pace here. Wobbling makes your core work even more. So don't be frustrated if this one's challenging for you. You got two more. And last one. And stick it, hold. Hug the right knee into the chest. And extend. And drive it to the chest. And extend. Again, right toes can come to the mat instead of extending to a 90-degree angle. Otherwise, extend the arms out and pull them in. Three more. And two. And last one. Drop the hands to the mat. Bring the right leg overhead. Work the heel up towards the ceiling. Give me 10 pulses. So lift up an inch, up an inch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lower that leg down. Come into a forward fold. Maybe sway side to side if you'd like. Take one more breath. Release the hands to the mat. And roll yourself up one vertebrae at a time. From here, you can bring the feet together, or if you want a more modified version, you're going to bring the feet about hips width distance apart. And come to sit in chair pose. So here we never want the knees going past the big toe. Take a look down and make sure you can still see your big toe. And bring the arms overhead. So we want to think of really engaging the upper back as opposed to letting the arms come down towards our chest. Zippering up the rib cage, tucking the tailbone, keeping a straight neutral spine, and sitting back. So again, what I said before about not bending from the hips, when we bend from the hips, we just kind of look down. When we bend from the knees, we fire up our glutes and our quads. Maybe sit a little lower. Bring the hands to heart center. Drop down 2 more inches and straighten. And lower and straighten. So, if your feet are together, I want you to think of squeezing your thighs together. And if your knees are separated hips width, if your knees are hips width distance apart, I want you to keep the knees over the heels the whole time. So we're not knocking knees or letting them fall out, okay? So keep it moving for 3, 2, 1. Hold at the bottom. Bring the arms overhead. Sweep them down. Palms are going to face towards the ceiling and pulse up. So pulse up an inch towards the ceiling for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the arms overhead. Bring the palms back together. Lower down, back into our squats. Keep it moving here. Keeping the chest lifted the whole time. 2 more. Last one, hold at the bottom. Arms come overhead. This time, palms face towards the earth and pulse. Breathe. breathing here, pulling the belly button in, lifting the chest, sinking a little lower. And arms come overhead, hands to heart center, and squat. Two more. Last one, arms come overhead. Swing them back down, palms face each other. And bring your arms together as if you're squeezing a beach ball behind you. Pulse, pulse, pulse. And bring the arms overhead. From here, bring the hands to heart center. And just pulse with the legs for 10. So it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And extend, straighten the legs. Nice work, guys. From here, step back to plank. Drop the knees, come into child's pose. Well-deserved rest here. Maybe walk your fingertips to the left corner of the mat, feeling a stretch down the right side body. And walking to the opposite corner of the mat. And come back through center, come up onto the hands and knees, coming back into tabletop. Again, shoulders over the wrists. The knees are hips width distance apart, and the hips are stacked directly over the knees, pressing the hands into the mat, pulling the belly button in. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, chin to chest. Just give me one more. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin. And exhale, chin to chest. Come up onto the knees. If this is painful, you can come up onto the tops of the toes, or you can also bend your mat over to give yourself a little bit more cushioning underneath the knees. So we're going to come into camel pose, level 1. You can bring the hands to your lower back, fingertips facing towards the mat. And we want to think of driving the hips forward. So we're going to roll the shoulders down the back, lift the chest towards the ceiling, work the elbows towards the back of the room, and press the hips forward. Try not to squeeze the butt cheeks together here. Level 2, come to the tops of the feet, reach down, and again, drive the hips forward. Or if you want a full expression of camel pose, you're going to come down to the tops of the feet and work the hips forward. Feeling a stretch and an opening in the chest and the shoulder blades. Lifting the chin up towards the ceiling. Bring your right arm forward and pull the left arm up to meet it. Come back to the knees. So here, little mini challenge. If you want to, you can just come back to camel pose. Otherwise, we are going to cross the hands over the chest. You can come up onto the tops of the toes if that's more comfortable. And the idea here is that we keep our hips over the knees in a straight line the whole time. We don't want the butt to drop back. So we are going to lean back with the arms across the chest, keeping the hips lifted, and then use the quads to pull ourselves back up. So we engage the core, tilt the pelvis forward, and pull ourselves up. Let's just do 3 more of those. So inhale, lower down, zip yourself back up. 2 more. Exhale when you pull up. Last time, make it a good one. Lean back and pull yourself up. Really nice job. Bring the hands down onto the mat. Come into downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet here. And from here, we're going to come into pigeon pose. So bring your right knee towards your right wrist. And then bring the right ankle towards the left wrist. Extend the back leg behind. What I want you to focus on here is keeping both hip bones square to the front of the room. So I want to think of rotating my kneecap towards the mat as opposed to letting all of my weight sit on my right hip. So we're lifting the chest, feeling a stretch in the IT band. If this hurts your knee, we're going to come into a supine figure 4 pose, crossing the, my right ankle over my left knee. All right, so whatever feels good for you. If you're in pigeon pose, maybe you want to walk your hands forward and lower the head to the mat if you can. And walk your hands back up. Shift the hips up and back, come into downward facing dog, and set up for the other side. So we're bringing our left knee towards our left wrist, right ankle comes towards the right wrist, extending the right leg behind. Again, thinking of taking my right knee, rotating it towards the mat, plugging my left hip back in its socket so that I am square to the front of the mat. Walking the hands forward, or of course, you can come into a supine figure 4 pose. Left ankle comes over the right knee. And rocking back. Take one more breath. Walk the hands back towards the legs, and then swing your right leg around. Come to a cross-legged seated position. From here, pull the belly button in, lift the chest. We're going to bring our left hand to the right knee. Right arm comes behind. Lift our chest tall, and again, from the rib cage, we're going to twist towards the back of the room. So gaze towards the back of the room. Make sure your shoulder isn't up in your face. Relax the shoulder down your back. And release. Right hand comes to the left knee. Left arm comes behind. Lift up nice and tall and twist. And release. Bring the palms facing up at the knees, lift a little higher. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Drop the chin to the chest. And bring your left ear to your left shoulder. Lift the head back up. Bring the soles of the feet together. And let the knees fall out wide. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you're going to bring the heels closer to your body. If that's too intense, you're going to bring the feet away from the body. You can use your elbows to press into the inner thighs. And lift your chest nice and tall, and then start to bring your chest towards your big toe, keeping a straight spine. And roll forward. And lift yourself back up, keeping your legs exactly as they are. Roll onto your back. Close the eyes, bring one hand to the chest, one hand to the belly. And start to deepen your breath, feeling your belly rise on each inhale and fall on each exhale. Take one more breath. Bring the knees together and then hug the knees into the chest. Maybe rock side to side, massage out the lower back on the mat. And from here, bring the heels up towards the ceiling. Grab onto the outsides of the feet. If that's not accessible for you today, you can grab onto the outsides of the thighs. Coming to happy baby pose. Thinking of planting your heels on the ceiling, bringing your knees down towards the mat on either side of your torso, keeping the lower back pinned to the mat. You can rock side to side if that feels good. You can practice straightening one leg, straightening the other leg, maybe straightening both legs if that feels good. Whatever gives you a nice stretch. Take one more breath. Hug the knees back into the chest. Lift your forehead up to the kneecaps. And then lower yourself into final resting pose, Shavasana. Extend the legs out long. Bring the arms to your sides, palms facing up. Let the feet fall out wide. Separate the teeth. Relax the muscles in the jaw and in the forehead. Let the shoulders melt into the mat, and if you have any final wiggles, get them out now. Return to whatever pace of breathing is comfortable and find stillness. Stay here as long as you'd like, taking with you this feeling of calmness throughout the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat. Have a great day and namaste.